Syriza and the ins and outs of the struggle of Syriza, which we support 1,000%. The problem that they've always had, though, is that they are Greek only. It's a one-country movement. Maybe there was no way to avoid that, but the urgent thing has always been to assemble a front of allies and people also locked in the same struggles, if at all possible, and make that happen. So the idea then is, where are they going to get some allies, right? How can they remedy this unfortunate situation of isolation, right? So we see our role very much as helping that along, right? And nobody ever, denigrate them. The answer is, if you want to provide an ally to Syriza, well, then provide it, right? That's up to you to do that. You can't whine that they didn't do it. Time for us to do it. And that's one of the messages we want to bring to the left forum. Don't just admire, imitate them. And it means imitate them in depth, right? Imitate the things that they've done correctly. But the one country approach is not the thing to imitate, right? Who knows, maybe Tsipras will visit Donetsk one of these days soon. That would be highly interesting. But in the meantime, what we're left with is the Socialist Party of Portugal and the so the idea is, as the a very worried, I think, London Daily Telegraph is telling us, I think it's Ambrose Evans Pritchard who actually does the warnings, that the Portuguese socialists are facing a national election in the next couple of months, and they have now gone into an anti-austerity mode. They are demanding that there be no more firings of government workers, indeed that government workers be rehired, and also that the entire Greek economy should turn away from this is now the Portuguese economy, excuse me, the Portuguese is deflationary process, which is the demand. So relate means try to create jobs and essentially to revive the economy that way. Now, this we have to study the details here, but generally this is a very good thing. It's promising, right? See how far it goes. Make it go as far as it can go. Get behind it and push it. Don't stand on the sidelines whining, complaining, carping, and so forth, right? We want this to be a very successful event. So this is the left bloc that the forum want to talk about. So what you can see now is that there's a kind of a hope that you would have Greece, Syriza, again, Podemos in Spain, but this terrible leadership problem, the incompetent, cowardly, vacillating leadership of Iglesias, very dubious, very fishy. And then Portugal, and as I would say, then there's also Donetsk. So here's the idea. London Daily Telegraph. Europe faces second revolt as Portugal's ascendant socialists spurn austerity. Germany is worried that any concession to Greece will political contagion and cause fiscal discipline to collapse across southern Europe. Ambrose Evans Pritchard, right, son of the Kenyan sociologist. Europe faces the risk of a second revolt by left-wing forces in the south after Portugal's Socialist Party vowed to defy austerity demands from the country's creditors and block any further sackings of public officials. We will carry out a reverse policy, says Antonio Costa, the socialist leader. Portugal must start rebuilding key parts of the public sector following the drastic cuts under the previous European Union IMF Troika regime and European Central Bank, of course. So they're going to team up with various left parties, even the old communists. Why not? That's Alvaro Cunhal, right? There's got to be an alternative that allows us to turn the page on austerity, revive the economy, create jobs, and comply with the euro rules and restore hope to the country. It looks like Portugal has got the biggest per capita debt of anybody. It's also got the least trained workforce, Portugal. Costa unveiled a package of 55 measures in March, a wave of spending on health care, education that amount full package, roll back labor reforms. When they say labor reforms, it means they can fire you easy. So this is where you strip somebody of their rights and you call that reform. That's the typical awful, unacceptable thing. The London Daily Telegraph is whining that the socialists want to make it harder for companies to fire their own workers. And the plan is entirely incompatible with the European Union fiscal compact. Well, good. The fiscal compact is a failure. It's a monstrosity. And we'll hear about Greece in a minute. So this now gets really interesting. This is where we could actually see that necessary front. What we need is a Southern European or any European, right? Eastern, Southern, doesn't matter. Northern, everybody's hurting. To take over the European Central Bank, to commandeer the credit-creating power of the European Central Bank and gear up 5-6 trillion euros and infrastructure everywhere. And boy, do they need it. The U.S. is bad for sure, but there are parts of Europe that are certainly hurting. Okay, so that's one. Concerning tariffs and protectionism, let's just state it here. We are against free trade. We reject fast track. We reject Trans-Pacific Partnership. We reject the follow-on deal with Europe. And here's where we're different. We'll tell you what the policy should, unlike Bernie Sanders, who will never do this. We want 15% protective tariff. Now, again, as I've always had to say, 15% does not really qualify as a protective tariff. You could call it a revenue tariff. But in today's world, 15% is a protective tariff. So let's start with that. We're perfectly prepared to do more if more is needed. So let's stop the giant sucking sound and keep the jobs in the United States. Is Webster Tarpley speaking from New York City, once again on the eve here of the Left Forum, and we're going to have that opening plenary session, Syriza, Podemos, Left Bloc, and the Left. Will there be a European revolutionary politics? But let's go to the man who actually has the answers, and that is our good friend Michael Chiotinis in Athens, the guy who has been right so many times on forecasting these events in a very hectic and turbulent pattern, but he's been able to see clearly through all that stuff. So, Michael, welcome. Give us the rundown on what's going on in your part of the world.
Hello, Webster. And in view of the Left Forum in New York, the first thing, there's much to talk about, and many things are happening, but in view of the Left Forum, I want to give a few important points first. Things that the new Greek government has already managed to do in the very short period that's been in power, because someone could think that nothing has been done, and then we're going to talk about the negotiations and all the emergency stuff, and so
great. You have the floor.
A few short points. Number one, the new Greek government has passed a law for emergency spending having to do with the humanitarian crisis, the poor and the homeless. Still limited because of the very tight budget, but passed in a way that can be expanded with a simple decision from the minister who's in charge of this. Number two, a law was passed to save the debt-ridden Hellenic sugar industry, the most significant industry having to do with agriculture in the entire country, which was ready to shut down. If we had the old government, right now it wouldn't work, it wouldn't operate, and the new Greek government saved it. 7,000 growers depend on this industry for their income. So that's very important. It has to do with production itself. Also, the new Greek government passed a law allowing people who have debts towards the government, taxes that they have been unable to pay, to come to a deal involving up to 100 installments. This made debtors who had trouble doing business restart business, and because of legal issues, legal matters having to do with being in debt, and also boosted government revenue because people started paying even small installments. And this revenue, in this time that the government was in dire need in order to improve its negotiating position, was very important, let me tell you.
Good.
So the lenders of Greece may have tried to stall everything in order to discredit the new government, but the very important things got done, even in this asphyxiating climate. Now, whatever is the outcome of this negotiation, the message has to be that politics can beat the markets. Politics are the way to go. And I'm telling this again in view of the left forum. Don't get locked in yourself and your personal problems. Get out there, get active, fight for what you think is right. But first of all, have an opinion. Be prepared to answer the question, what kind of a society do you want? Because what we're facing right now in the West is the attempt to transform us in the West into a new kind of sweatshop economy, into new sweatshop economies. And that is, I think, the big danger if one looks at the big picture, you know. And don't kid yourselves thinking it's far away, because it is in Greece right now. It's at your doorstep. This kind of a world and this kind of a society is closer than you may think, wherever you are in the West. If they catch you unprepared, if they find you without the proper intellectual readiness to think, the mental capacity to fight back, believe me, change can come very fast. Just look at how the Greek economy was completely transformed and the Greek society completely, utterly destroyed in, 5 short years. If Greece falls into this for good, there is no stop to where this neoliberal, neo-feudal nightmare could spread to. Now, Greece and its lenders are still in the process of negotiations. That's the situation, I'm afraid, as it has been for the last 4 months. The difference now is that Greece is running out of money to service debt that is due. Until now, it only had repayments to do to the IMF, and it has made their payments with money squeezed out of the budget without imposing any new austerity, and that's phenomenal if you think about it. Part of it has to do with the law I just talked about installments. The problem is, June 5th, Greece has 300 million euros in debt repayments it has to give to the IMF, and roughly a total of 1.3 billion until the end of June. The Greek government says that it doesn't have the money needed to both make the payments and still have money to pay salaries and pensions. So there's either going to be some kind of a deal very soon, or Greece is going to default on the IMF. No one has any idea what a Greek default could trigger, so it's a game of chicken right now, with the side of the lenders thinking they can blackmail. But what I'm seeing right now today is that this final moment where things get extreme and Greece seems like it is ready to default, to actually default. Some of the people representing the lenders, in a wider sense, they're becoming increasingly aggressive, like Schäuble and Lagarde. And while others finally have the good